Vlad, who you interviewed that you thought was full of shit during the interview?
I mean, when I interviewed Gene Deal, some of his answers didn't match up with some of the other, like I remember like we interviewed Gene Deal and he talked about like the timeline of Biggie and Tupac and so forth. And like he said how he got into an accident after Tupac died because he was so upset. And then when we interviewed Lil C's was like, no, that's not how it happened. I mean, I was there. I was in the car when it crashed. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like I was actually there. And, right. So some of the things don't really match up in some of the kind of conspiracy theories that he has. But the thing is with Gene Deal, the reason why I interviewed him was because he was there when Big actually got shot. Right. And he was, actually there on the scene. And that was the main part of the interview. I figured the other stuff was going to be kind of like, I don't know. Maybe not.
What's going on with you and Marlon Wayans? What is that about?
Right, so me and Marlon Wayans.
The fuck is, what did that happen? What's going on?
All right, so me and Marlon, I've done some kind of like press junket interviews with him before. So we knew each other, you know, we would DM each other every so often.
Right.
So I reached out to him on DM and I said, hey, we want to do an interview. He goes, okay, talk to this person, this one woman who works for him, right?
Right.
So when my assistant talked to her, she said that Marlon wants to do the interview. He wants $40,000 plus 30% of all future revenue, right? And I was like, okay, that's kind of a ridiculous number,
right?
If you know how much YouTube actually makes. Right. And based on his overall numbers where, you look at the Breakfast Club or so forth, he does like a few 100,000 views. So I was going through some fucked up shit at the time. So I just became an asshole about it.
Right.
And I started like talking about that shit in my interviews and I was like kind of calling him out. I didn't have to do that. I was just being an asshole.
Right.
Right. Because he was actually pretty polite with me when me and him actually talked on the phone before all this happened. So I was being an asshole. So then he started talking shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it just started going back and forth. And at the end of the day, I didn't have to do what I did. Right. At the end of the day, it was a private conversation. It was a business deal. It didn't work out. You and I know how there's lots of business deals that ultimately don't work out.
Absolutely.
Right. But my point was, which I still stand behind is that, the amount that he was asking for. And it's like, people like to say, well, you're not going to say what I'm worth, but the market says what you're worth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
Right. If it's like, if you as a rapper, said, okay, from now on, I'm only doing mega stadiums. Mm-hmm. So if it's not a mega stadium, don't call me.
Right.
No one's going to call you. Mm-hmm. Right. You know what I mean?
Trust me, I know how you two work now. I know exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So I'm going to start paying you off what we make per show instead of just giving you more than what you're supposed to get.
Right.
Go ahead, my bad.
So, no, it's all good. So my point was, my original point that amount was unrealistic still stands because from what I know, no one's ever paid him that. Right. He did Shannon Sharpe right afterwards and it got a lot of views, but then Shannon Sharpe publicly says that we don't pay for interviews.
Right.
So my point still stands, but I was just being an asshole about it.
I got you.
So he did his comedian thing and talked shit about me and, some of it was funny. And it is what it is.
No, Shannon Sharpe, they definitely offered me money to do the interview.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I turned it down.
I was about to say that's a lie.
Yeah.
Okay, no, because the reason why I said that was because someone had tweeted Shannon.
It wasn't a lot, but go ahead.
No. Well, someone had tweeted, say, hey, how come Boosie doesn't do Shannon Sharpe? And he goes, well, we don't pay for interviews, no disrespect to anyone who does. And he publicly tweeted that. That's why I assumed.
Well, it almost like not paying a nigga. It was a few thousand, but the point is, I didn't even want any money from Shannon Sharpe. What happened for me with Shannon Sharpe is that I wanted a commitment that if I did his show, that he'd do my show, and whoever handles his stuff is like, we can't give you a date. He could do your show, but when you get there to his show, y'all could discuss.
Yeah.
I'm like, the fuck is you talking about? This shit only make no sense. After you get what he want, the nigga's curve.
Yeah, I hate, and by the way, I hate when people do that. You know what I mean? Because like, for example, like Stephen A. Smith, they always reach out to us to use our content on his YouTube channel. Like, because we did an interview that he wants to cover. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, have him call me. We can establish a relationship. I'm not asking to be on his show, but let's establish a relationship and then you could use my content.
Right.
Oh, he's busy right now. Right. So don't use my content.
Right.
That's the end of that.
Right.
People don't like to do business.
If you want, I'll put that relationship together. That's my dude.
Okay.
His team makes me a couple times a month.
Okay.
If that's something you want to
sure.
do. Well, you got my number now.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, that was another question I was going to ask you. What's a roundabout number the most you paid somebody for an interview?
I've paid $25,000 for an interview. The most I offered, and this is close to home with you, was OJ Simpson. I offered him $100,000 to do the interview. But the problem was that he wanted his man, because he couldn't take money directly because of all the lawsuits and everything. So he had a middleman that was handling it, and they're like, all right, well, he wants it all in cash.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm talking to my finance person, and he's like, all right, well, as long as they fill out the W-9 and do an invoice, we could do the cash. I'm like, okay, cool, we'll get you the cash.
Right.
He wants the full amount before he walks in the door.
Right.
I said, come on, man, this dude owes like $20 million.
Right.
He could take the money and drive off, and there's nothing I could do about it.
Right.
I'll give you 50 up front, 50 at the end. Nah, we want the whole thing up front.
Right.
So it never happened.
That's a good amount.
Yeah. But it would have been a hell of an interview.
We never paid OJ.
Yeah.
anything.
Well, that's why I say
Just
hit close to home, because he was on your show as well.
Yeah, I'm just saying for the record.
For the record.
We've never paid OJ anything.
Yeah. Congrats on getting those pieces, though.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah.